And welcome to Rowdy.com Big Three. I'm Buzz Cutler. With me once again is Jay Pennell from AllLeftTurns.com and FrontStretch.com, filling in for Bass. Bass is going to be gone all week this week, so you can just relax. The camp counselor is out of the building. So, Jay, a lot of guys said after the first few races of the season, look, I'm not going to worry about the points. I'm not going to worry about our performance until after Talladega. It's the second off week of the season. A lot of guys sort of made this their benchmark week. So now, taking stock after Talladega, what do you see?
Well, right now I see Carl Edwards as very strong. It's pretty tough to go into Talladega the points leader and then come back out of it the points leader. So I think he's looking really strong right now. And then can't argue with Jimmy Johnson. I think he tweeted something this morning or on Monday morning about going to play golf on an off weekend, and just, you know, that kind of confidence and attitude is just not what the competition needs from Jimmy Johnson.
No, he's pretty chill. I'm starting to see, I think, reality settling in for a lot of people.
Very much
right?
so.
Denny Hamlin, Clint Boyer, Greg Biffle started off slowly, starting to creep back up towards the top 10, especially Boyer and Biffle. Reality is setting in for A.J. Allmendinger,
yeah.
Right? He's starting to hover around the 15 spot, which seems about right for him. The one guy that I think is starting to show that he's the real deal might be Paul Menard, holding on to, if not a top 10, then a top 12. Will he be able to get into that top 10, solidify his position there, and get a chase berth? That remains to be seen. But certainly I think the Paul Menard we're seeing so far this season might be the new and improved Paul Menard.
I think so. I don't think anybody really would have predicted this going into the season. The performances have definitely been there. He's always been one of the this year the top performing RCR cars. And this is a top 10 chase, and it's going to take strong finishes every single week for that team to make it into the chase. And
what I think is even more significant is that Clint Boyer cites his team's improvement from stealing some stuff from Paul Menard.
It's definitely an interesting dynamic to the RCR. You know, I think Paul Menard got a lot of flack for a lot of years. And he's starting to show that, you know, he's the real deal.
Yeah. All right. Issue number 2. Who's not the real deal might be Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yeah.
With the exception of Kyle Busch, that team looks like it's behind a step, right? Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, both of them vastly underperforming. Right now, you got to say Richard Childress Racing, Roush Fenway, and now Hendrick are up here. And has Joe Gibbs Racing fallen back down to that Penske level of race team?
I think so. I think there's a lot of stuff going on maybe in that shop that you know, us on the outside maybe aren't seeing. You know, I think that might have started in the preseason. They had that huge engine fire on the dyno. I talked to a lot of the guys in Martinsville that were very adamant that had nothing to do with their issues. But, you know, anytime you have something like that happen, I think that there's going to be a trickle-down effect to the team. And, you know, Hamlin coming off that strong run, we've seen in years past guys who nearly win the championship, come in second in the championship, just flat-out struggle the following year. And I think Hamlin's having that issue.
Now, Mark Cronquist, the engine builder over at Joe Gibbs Racing, I've always been told he's one of the genius engine builders. He's like almost at that Yates level in terms of his ability to put together stout engines. So, you know, you got to think that if that's true, they're going to find their way out of this. The question is when, and will it be too late by the time they finally get this stuff dialed in?
You know, the way that you look at a guy like Menard, that's a perfect example. There are people who have been stepping up this year. I mean, if you wait too long to get your issues figured out, you're going to be missing out on the chase.
Though with 2 Richmonds ahead of him and 2 Poconos ahead of him and another Martinsville ahead of him, you think Denny Hamlin certainly may find himself in a position to grab a wild card spot, if not a top 10 chase spot.
I definitely think he has a better chance than a Logano or something like that. I mean, he's the kind of driver that can go on a winning streak. You know, we talked about maybe somebody like a Jeff Burton not being able to do that. I think Denny Hamlin is one of those guys who can just knock out 4 or 5 wins.
All right. Issue number 3, former Joe Gibbs Racing guy, Tony Stewart. I thought, okay, California, bad luck. But now, at Talladega, he never looked racy. It wasn't just that he was saving his stuff in the back of the pack. He never looked like he was in a position to get a top 5, let alone a win.
In their post-race release, they almost seem relieved to get a 17th place finish. I think because of the issues that they've been having with pit strategy, luck on pit road, the running out of gas, those types of things, they looked at Talladega not as a chance to come out and make a statement, but let's just come out of here with a clean race car and not a DNF, because that's not what that team needed, and they succeeded in that goal.
Yeah, but when you're racing not to lose, is that a recipe for success?
No, I don't think so.
Over the first couple of seasons of Stewart Haas Racing's existence, Tony Stewart and Darian Grubb seemed like a real team, on the same page, had each other's backs, of a like mind. It seems like there's something up with those two. I'm not going to say, well, they've lost their chemistry, but it definitely seems like they're not on the same page.
I think they definitely have some work to do. I think Darian's a real good guy for Tony. I think they work well together. I just think they're making too many bold calls, and they're backfiring, or you have some calls where the luck doesn't go their way. Luck's an interesting thing, and it hasn't been on Tony Stewart's side.
Yeah, we always say Tony Stewart is a slow starter. He always heats up in the summer, but like we just said about Joe Gibbs Racing, you got to be in a position that when you heat up in the summer, it's not too late.
Yeah. If they continue to keep taking these different gambles and everything, luck's eventually going to run out for him.
Yeah. All right. That's it for today's Rowdy.com Big 3. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Buzz Cutler with Jay Pennell, filling in for Bass from frontstretch.com and allleftturns.com. Check him out. If you're not a regular reader of his stuff, you're missing out.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.